Good day. Here are today's top stories from the Pna Headlines. Malacañang calls on the mainstream media to help in the fight against fake news, particularly in light of the situation with the International Criminal Court. Communications Undersecretary Claire Castro said the mainstream media can assist the government to contain disinformation through fact-checking. She said that the Presidential Communications Office is collaborating with law enforcement agencies to run after fake news peddlers. Castro noted the spread of various forms of fake news, particularly those being spread in favor of former President Rodrigo Duterte, who is set to be tried by the ICC for crimes against humanity. She urged the public to observe carefully and evaluate so they would not be swayed by wrong information. For its part, the PNP Anti-Cybercrime Group said it is investigating the fake social media posts and information related to Duterte's case in the ICC. PNP Information Chief Colonel Randolph Tuaño said all relevant news have been referred to ACG Chief Brigadier General Bernard Young for appropriate action. Regarding the rallies in relation to the ICC case, he said authorities continue to monitor the situation and maintain peace and order. The Commission on Elections has granted an exemption from the election spending ban, the Ayuda para sa Kapos ang Kita program or AKAP, along with several other programs of the Department of Social Welfare and Development. Comelec Chair George Erwin Garcia confirmed this after the DSWD, National Economic and Development Authority, and other relevant agencies submitted guidelines for the programs. Earlier, the DSWD appealed to the Comelec to give its programs an exemption to the election ban so that it could continue distributing aid to poor Filipinos. Based on the Comelec's memorandum, an election officer will be present during the distribution of cash aid. Candidates and their promotional material are not allowed to appear anywhere near the distribution area. The exemption will also not cover the spending ban from May 2 to May 12 or 10 days before the elections. The Department of Migrant Workers has distributed about 10.7 million pesos in livelihood assistance to over 1,000 female overseas Filipino workers under its Balik Pinay, Balik Hanap Buhay program. The DMW led the distribution of livelihood aid in a ceremony at its office in Mandaluyong on Monday. A total of 128 OFWs from Metro Manila each received 10,000 pesos, while 939 others from 15 regions simultaneously received their cash aid through DMW's regional offices. Migrant Worker Secretary Hans Leo Kakdak said the event was the largest single disbursement in the program's history. He said this would not be possible without the support of the Department of Budget and Management, as well as President Ferdinand R. Marcos Jr., who had directed to empower OFWs and their families. For her part, Budget Secretary Amenah Pangandaman emphasized the government's commitment to gender-inclusive programs through the Women's Budget, which funds women-focused initiatives using 5% of the national budget. Commuters will soon get to ride the MRT-3 late at night as the railway extends its operating hours by at least 1 hour. Transportation Secretary Vince Dizon ordered the extension of the MRT-3's operating hours during an inspection at the Taft, Ayala, and Shaw stations. In a statement, the Department of Transportation also said Dizon had ordered the MRT-3 to deploy additional trains during peak hours. The DOTR said they are awaiting further instructions on the implementation. The first MRT-3 trains leave the said stations at 4:30 a.m. and 5:05 a.m. respectively. Meanwhile, the last trains leave North Avenue and Taft Avenue stations at 9:30 p.m. and 10:09 p.m. respectively. Moving to our business news, the Department of Agriculture is hoping for the Japanese government to consider reviewing the tariffs on Philippine banana exports. Agriculture Secretary Francisco Chu Laurel Jr. met with Japan's State Minister of Agriculture and with other Japanese officials on Monday to discuss lowering tariffs and secure a fairer trade environment. DA spokesperson Arnel de Mesa said that Laurel is optimistic that Japan will take action and stressed that reducing tariffs would benefit both banana farmers and the economy. In 2023, the Philippines exported over 985,000 metric tons of bananas to Japan, or more than 41% out of the 2.35 million metric tons of bananas exported worldwide. Meanwhile, water concessionaire Maynilad plans to raise 49 billion pesos from its initial public offering as it announced plans to list on the Philippine Stock Exchange by July this year. Maynilad targets to offer over 2.4 million common shares at a maximum price of 20 pesos per share from June 25 to July 2. This amounts to 30.4% of Maynilad's outstanding capital stock post-IPO, subject to the approval of PSE and Securities Exchange Commission. Parts of the proceeds will be used for corporate purposes. In other news, global gross domestic product growth is expected to slack from 3.2% in 2024 to 3.1% in 2025 and 3% in 2026. The Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development said that this drop is due to higher trade barriers in several G20 economies, as well as uncertainties in geopolitical and policy matters weighing on household spending and investment. In its December 2024 economic outlook, the OECD estimated that global GDP growth will be at 3.3% in both 2025 and 2026. And that's the latest and the biggest stories on the PNA Headlines. For more news updates, visit our website, pna.gov.ph, or our Facebook and X account, Philippine News Agency. The PNA Headlines is also streamed via the Servicio Facebook page. You may also watch the PNA Headlines through the Philippine News Agency's YouTube account and via the News and Information Bureau website under PNA News. I'm Wilnard Basilonia. This is the PNA Headlines, bringing stories that unite the nation.